Okay, we're back home with the dog Lucky and here at the wood pile, and I've got some of this fatwood that we went out and we gathered, and today I'd like to go over how to process that. So stay with me and I'll be right back. Okay, here's our pine knots. We're not going to do a whole lot different with these than we're going to do the rest of this. Here is the first, I guess it was actually the top of the tree, the part of the trunk of the tree just above the root ball, and then this right here is the whole stump. Now once again, in a real quick review, we knew we had fatwood. Let me get out of the light here, because of these dark veins that are running through this pine wood, and when you scrape it you can smell pine saw. Now all I'm going to do is take this and clean it up and get all of this rotten material and wet stuff off of the outside of it, and then we'll cut it up and process it up into smaller sticks. Okay, I'm going to apologize right off the bat for the camera angles. My tripod is broken. I need to get me another one. It broke today while we were out in the woods. But all I'm doing is basically whittling this rotten material off of the outside of this center core. And it's not too hard to tell what's rotten and what's not, because the rotten comes right off. And I'm just going to sit here with a small knife and clean this up. And you do all of these pieces the same way. You just want to get the dead stuff off. It's not critical if you're going to put it someplace dry, but if you're going to carry this stuff in your backpack, it makes it a lot easier to tote if you clean all of that loose stuff off. It won't get all over your pack. Alright, I'll get that cleaned up and I'll be right back. Okay, as you can see, all I've done is clean this up, got as much of that stuff off the outside as I can, and then I took my saw and I cut it into pieces the size that I like. I like something about as wide as my hand. It makes it easier to pack. And you can see the inside of that. That is just perfect stuff. Now, here's a tip. When I was cutting it, you see all that sawdust there? I put down a piece of plastic bag, and I'm going to take a little snuff can and I'm going to pick all that up and I'm going to put it inside that snuff can. That is what they sell as Mayan dust, and all it is the sawdust that's left over from cutting this stuff up. It's there, and that takes a spark. I mean, it's just fantastic stuff, so don't waste that. Catch it. I got a friend of mine who dips snuff, and I get him to save these cans for me, and they work great for all different kinds of little containers. Alright, next we baton down some of this into some manageable sticks. Okay, next we're just going to select the piece that we want to baton down. I'm going to use my camp axe here and just split off some pieces. And I'm going to leave this center pretty much intact because I think I'm going to make a handle with that to go on a fire steel. And that way I can actually have my fire steel and my fatwood all there on one device. So I'm going to just split down around this a little bit, get some of these small sticks off, clean it up, be careful. Splitting out a little on me, that's okay. It's all going to burn. Clean that up a little bit. But what you want is get you a flat piece. I like to make them about pencil size, or maybe as thick as a pencil, but you know, twice as wide or so. A little bit bigger than my finger. About twice as long as my small finger, and about as big around as my thumb. And that's a nice size to put inside your pack, and there's a mini firelight in that right there, and in an emergency, you know, you can use a couple of pieces and you can dry out a lot of marginal wood and get a fire going very easy with that. Okay, let's see if we can get a firelight going with the wet stuff that we just harvested. Now remember, this stuff was a wet stump down in a hole now. Scrape off some small sawdust shavings. Put it up in a little pile. The old ferro rod. There she goes. We have fire. Tell you what guys, it just doesn't get any better than that. And save all those little pieces where you're cleaning off. They make great starter. Don't waste any of it. It's good stuff. But if you've got pine trees, you don't have to go out and buy it. Try to find it. Okay, so when it's all said and done, I wind up with 14 pieces of good usable fatwood in these nice sized big chunks, and I can process that up even more when I get ready for it. Now I must admit, there's one thing that makes this a lot easier. That's right, the farm boss. Hey, what can I say? Once you're at home, use what you got. Make life easy. Okay, now that all that is processed up, I do have one more tip for you. Now some of that wood, when you bust it open, is not going to be a solid core of wood just full of resin. Some of it's just going to have veins running through it, but it's still hard wood. Keep the stuff that's not so great for putting on your campfire to produce all of that light that I was talking about. It's a nice thing to have around the camp in the evening time when you're trying to see. And then keep that stuff that's really good for your emergency fire starter. Ain't that right, Lucky? Alright, I'm Tim Langston with Red Dog Bushcraft. Once again, God bless. Don't you a trip.